It was a warm afternoon in July. Sunlight filtered through stained glass, painting the chapel in gold and crimson. Mourners filed in, their faces drawn, exchanging uneasy glances as if each wondered what secrets the day might reveal. The kind of day where grief hangs thick in the air. Even the flowers seemed to wilt beneath the weight of unspoken words. Family and friends gathered in a small chapel outside Portland, Oregon, the hush broken only by the soft shuffle of feet and the distant toll of a bell. In the back row, a child clutched a worn photograph, while an elderly woman dabbed her eyes, her gaze fixed on the closed casket. To say goodbye to Dennis Langford, whose life everyone thought was an open book. Devoted husband, proud father, a man whose laughter once filled these pews, respected high school principal for over 20 years. His portrait smiled from the altar, but the eyes seemed to hold a secret. In the corner, two men whispered, glancing nervously at a sealed envelope tucked beneath a bouquet. But as the eulogies began, something shifted. A tension crept in, subtle but unmistakable. The quiet sobs, the whispered condolences, gave way to sidelong glances and hushed speculation, faded into a strange, uneasy silence. It was as if the room itself was holding its breath. A single rose fell from a mourner's hand, landing beside a scuffed briefcase no one claimed. When the funeral director opened the floor for anyone wishing to share, the air seemed to thicken with anticipation. A woman stood up. Her heels echoed on the tile, drawing every eye. No one recognized her. She wore a simple black dress, her expression unreadable. Early 40s, calm, composed, her presence both gentle and unsettling, holding a teenage boy's hand. The boy's eyes darted around the room, searching for a familiar face, and when she spoke, her voice was steady, but her hands trembled. The entire room froze. Even the light seemed to dim. "My name is Carla Monroe," she said. Her words hung in the air, heavy as stone. "And Dennis Langford, the man you mourn today, was my husband too." A gasp rippled through the crowd. The chapel erupted. Shock, disbelief, and anger collided in a single, stunned moment. Gasps. A woman clutched her pearls. A man dropped his prayer book. Murmurs. Someone whispered, "It can't be true." Someone dropped a photo frame. Its glass shattered, echoing through the silence. Glass shattering on the tile. The sound lingered, sharp and final. And in that instant, the illusion of a perfect life was broken. Decades of secrets began to unravel. The truth, long buried, clawed its way to the surface. Dennis Langford, the man everyone thought they knew, was living a double life. Two worlds, carefully kept apart, now colliding in the open. To everyone in Portland, Dennis was the picture of stability, a man who never missed a Sunday service, married his high school sweetheart Mary back in 1983. Their wedding photo still sat on the mantel. Two kids, Emily and Jacob. Family portraits lined the hallway, smiles frozen in time. Quiet suburb, neighbors waved, never suspecting a thing. Fishing trips, laughter echoing across the water. Sunday service, hands joined in prayer, the works. All the trappings of a perfect life. But just 38 miles away, in Gresham, another story was unfolding. He had another family, another home, another set of promises. Carla Monroe, a former nurse, met Dennis under a different name, and their son, Eli. A boy with his father's eyes and 1,000 questions, Eli, who looked just like him. The resemblance was impossible to ignore. Carla said they met in 2001. A chance encounter that changed everything. What started as friendship at a conference slowly became something more. Secrets grew in the shadows. Dennis told her he was separated, the truth, always just out of reach, always almost divorced, always about to tell the truth. Promises made, promises broken. He visited twice a week, each visit a carefully constructed lie. Used the name Dan Moore, a new identity for a new life. Paid for Eli's education. Provided, but never truly present. Attended every parent-teacher meeting, always on the edge of being found out. Meanwhile, he never missed a birthday back in Portland. Two lives, perfectly balanced until now. Two lives, two stories both incomplete. Two homes, two sets of keys, two calendars, two worlds, one man, and a secret that would not stay buried. And not a single person suspected a thing. Not his wife, not his children, not his friends. Police would later find Dennis had a second P.O. box, tucked away in a forgotten corner of the city. A hidden bank account under Daniel M. Langford. The M for Monroe. The M for Monroe. A detail that would haunt investigators. But that wasn't all he was hiding. There were more layers, more shadows. 2 weeks after the funeral, the past refused to stay buried. Mary found a locked box in the attic. Its surface was scratched, as if someone had tried to pry it open before. Inside, a trove of secrets. 5 burner phones, each with a different story to tell. Different prepaid numbers, all registered under false names. Contacts listed only by initials. No one knew who L, M, or S were. Photos of out-of-state motels. Receipts for rooms never visited by his family. Over $20,000 in cash. Enough to disappear if he ever needed to. Detective Ryan Ellison said in his report, the evidence pointed to a man living 2 lives. It's clear Mr. Langford maintained multiple communication channels. The question was, why? Whether these were for infidelity, financial crimes, or something more sinister remains under an investigation. The shadows only deepened. One phone had messages from L. The sender's identity still a mystery. The texts read, "You promised no more funerals." The words chilled Mary to the bone. What if she finds the lake house, a place no one in the family had ever heard of? You said she was too sick to dig. The message ended abruptly. That last message was sent just 3 days before Dennis died of an apparent heart attack. But nothing about this story felt natural. But here's the twist. The truth was still out there, waiting to be found. Investigators searched property records, hoping for a clue, a slip, a sign. No lake house in his name, no rentals, nothing. The trail seemed to vanish, until a neighbor came forward, a new thread in the unraveling tapestry. Harold Mackenzie said, "I saw him up here every couple months, always alone, always looking over his shoulder. Thought he was just bird watching. But the binoculars never left their case, always parked by the old fire trail. The same spot every time. That trail led to a remote cabin, hidden from the world. Burned down in 2013, its secrets lost to the flames. Owned by a shell corporation, dissolved in 2015. The paper trail ended in smoke. Its true owner, never confirmed." Another question with no answer. Inside the ruins, the air was thick with ash and memory. Police found a rusted lockbox. Its contents would deepen the mystery. 3 family photos, each one a puzzle piece. 2 matching Carla and Eli. The third, a stranger. The third, Dennis with an unknown woman in front of the lake house, her face half turned as if hiding from the lens. Dated 2004. A year no one could explain. She's never been identified, never come forward. Her absence, a shadow over the case. Police reopened a cold case. A missing woman, initials LM. A missing woman, initials LM, last seen traveling to Oregon. Her story, lost in the fog. Her case is still unsolved. The file gathers dust, but the questions remain. No charges have been filed, no one has been cleared. No confirmed crimes. Only rumors, and the ache of not knowing. No other bodies. No other bodies. But the silence is heavy. Dennis's daughter Emily said, her voice barely above a whisper, "I don't know who my father really was." The words echoed in the chapel long after she spoke them. Maybe none of us did. Maybe we never will. But I know this. The man we buried wasn't the man we thought we knew. The truth lingers, just out of reach. So who was Dennis Langford? A question that haunts every empty room. Devoted father, or something else entirely? Loving husband, or a man with too many secrets? Serial liar, or a victim of his own deception, or something darker? The answer lies in the shadows. The funeral marked the end of his life. But the story was only beginning. But for those he left behind, it was only the beginning of the mystery. The first page of a story no one wanted to read. This is Vanished Whispers. And you've just heard the first chapter of a puzzle that may never be solved. A father's secret double life, exposed at his funeral. The truth, like a whisper, refuses to rest. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon for more stories that whisper from the shadows. Subscribe to this channel. Sometimes the truth doesn't die with the body. It waits to be uncovered. The deeper investigators dug, the more shadows Dennis Langford cast. Eyewitnesses began stepping forward, each with a memory that didn't fit the man everyone thought they knew. Some stories overlapped, others contradicted. A neighbor in Portland, Mrs. Hargrove, recalled, "I'd see Dennis leaving late at night, sometimes after midnight, always alone. He'd glance over his shoulder, like he was making sure no one watched." Another neighbor, Mr. Patel, remembered seeing Dennis talking to a woman in a red coat. They argued in hushed voices by the mailbox. I never saw her face. A diner waitress in Gresham, Janice Lee, remembered, "He always paid cash, tipped big, and never used the same name twice. Sometimes he was Dennis, sometimes Dan, once even called himself Michael. He always sat facing the door, like he was waiting for someone or hiding from someone." A bus driver, Maria Torres, said, "He rode my route every Thursday, never spoke, but once he left behind a black notebook. When I opened it, every page was blank, except for a single word, run." A fisherman at Lake Trillium, Tom Alvarez, said, "He'd show up with a thermos and a notebook. Never fished, just sat at the water's edge, scribbling, staring across the lake. One time, I heard him arguing on the phone, said something about the cabin not being safe anymore." A local librarian, Miss Chen, recalled Dennis requesting books on false identities and missing persons. He always wore a hat, sunglasses, indoors. Once, he asked if library records could be erased. A motel clerk out on Highway 26 recalled, "He checked in every few months, never stayed the night, always asked for room 7. I thought he was meeting someone, but I never saw a guest with him. Once he left behind a torn photo, 2 kids, faces scratched out." A bartender, Sam, said he'd order a drink, then stare at the TV, never watching. One night, he left a Queen of Spades card under his glass. I still have it. But then, a retired police officer, Frank Dillard, came forward with a contradiction. "I ran into Dennis in Portland the night the cabin supposedly burned down. He was at a charity event, all smiles, never left the room. There's no way he could have been near that fire." Yet, another witness, a florist named Grace, insisted, "I saw Dennis drive past the old cabin that same night. He looked right at me. I waved, he didn't wave back." So was Dennis Langford leading a double life? Or was someone else using his name, his face, his secrets? With every answer, the mystery only deepened. Stay with us, as Vanished Whispers unravels the next layer of truth. Soft click, the sound of a tape recorder whirring. State your name for the record. Witness, Rebecca Langford. I'm Dennis's daughter. He'd get these phone calls late at night, never answered in front of us. Sometimes I'd pick up and there'd just be silence, breathing, then a click. Detective voiceover, recovered from the cabin fire, a notebook, most pages charred but a few words stand out, not safe, trust no one, 7 p.m. Trillium. We also found a torn photograph, Dennis with a woman no one recognized. The back read, LM 2004. After he left room 7, we found a key missing from the set. Nothing else was touched, but the security camera footage for that night, it's gone. Deleted. Detective: Did Mr. Langford mention these children to you? No, but he once asked me, if you had to disappear, would you take your memories or leave them behind? Emily Langford, Dennis's other daughter, sits across from detectives. Emily: He kept a locked drawer in his study. I never saw what was inside. He said it was for work. Detective: We found a second notebook in the ashes. Pages filled with numbers, initials, and the phrase Queen of Spades circled in red. Detective summary: Timeline inconsistencies, multiple aliases, missing evidence, and a growing list of questions. In the interrogation room, Detective Ellison leans forward. Was Dennis Langford hiding from someone, or something? Carla Monroe, voice trembling: He was always looking over his shoulder. He told me, if anything happens, don't trust the police. Detective: Or was he orchestrating a secret life no one was meant to uncover? A tense silence fills the room. As the evidence piles up, the line between victim and architect blurs. What else will the shadows reveal? Stay with us. Sound of shuffling papers, a faint metallic clang. Just when investigators thought they were closing in on the truth, a package arrived at the precinct. No return address, postmarked 2 days after Dennis Langford's funeral. Inside was a single photograph, charred at the edges. The image showed Dennis standing in the shadows outside room 7, holding what appeared to be a second notebook. A sticky note was attached, scrawled in frantic handwriting. You missed something. 7 p.m. was never the end. As detectives scrambled to trace the sender, a second package arrived, this time at Dennis's family home. Inside, a torn page from a notebook, covered in cryptic symbols and a single word, "Run." The family recoiled in fear, unsure if the warning was meant for them or someone else. That night, the lead investigator received an anonymous text. "Check the riverbank. Midnight." The team rushed to the location, flashlights cutting through the darkness. There, half buried in the mud, they found a rusted locket. Inside, a faded photo of Dennis with a woman no one could identify, and a slip of paper with the number 7 written in red ink. The next morning, a third envelope appeared on the detective's desk. No postage, no fingerprints. Inside, a Queen of Spades playing card, marked with a blood-red X. The team gathered in the evidence room, piecing together the clues. Tension mounted as each new twist deepened the mystery. Rebecca Langford, the key witness, grew increasingly paranoid. She reported seeing a shadowy figure outside her apartment. Then, she vanished. Her apartment, empty, the door left ajar. On her kitchen table, a single playing card face down. The Queen of Spades, no fingerprints, no signs of struggle, just silence and a lingering question. Did Rebecca uncover the last secret, or become its final victim? As the news spread, Dennis's wife received a midnight phone call. A distorted voice whispered, "You're next." The line went dead. Music swells, then fades to a chilling silence. The shadows linger. The evidence remains unanswered. And somewhere, someone is still watching. In the final hours before dawn, a security camera caught a figure slipping a letter under the precinct door. The footage was erased before anyone could review it. What really happened to Dennis Langford, and who will be next to vanish in the whispers? Just as the case threatened to fade into silence, a new voice emerged from the darkness. An anonymous caller reached out to the lead detective, their words distorted by static. "You're looking in the wrong place. Dennis wasn't alone that night. The answer is buried with the others." With this cryptic clue, investigators pored over old evidence, revisiting files from a cold case eerily similar to Dennis Langford's disappearance. Another tip came in. This time, a trembling voice claimed to have seen Dennis arguing with a woman in black near the old train station just days before he vanished. Detectives rushed to the scene, searching for clues. Under a loose floorboard, they found a faded photograph, Dennis, the woman, and a Queen of Spades card tucked in the corner. Both victims vanished at precisely 7 p.m. Both left behind a single playing card, the Queen of Spades. A retired motel clerk stepped forward, recalling a guest who always checked in under different names, each time leaving behind a Queen of Spades card in room 7. The clerk remembered a chilling detail. The guest always requested room 7, paid in cash, and never stayed the night. A forgotten surveillance tape from years before revealed Dennis meeting a shadowy figure in a dimly lit parking lot, the same figure seen entering room 7 the night he died. Their face, obscured by darkness. Their identity, still unknown. Another anonymous tipster sent a letter to police. Inside, a single chess piece and a note. "The game is not over. Look for the second face." Detectives began to suspect a copycat, or perhaps an accomplice, someone who knew Dennis's secrets and was determined to keep them buried. The deeper detectives dig, the more tangled the web becomes. Every answer births a new question. A city worker reported seeing a woman in black leaving flowers at Dennis's grave at midnight, her face hidden, her footsteps silent on the grass. The next morning, a Queen of Spades card was found tucked beneath the bouquet. Who is the anonymous caller? What connects these vanished souls? And why do the Queen of Spades and 7 p.m. haunt every clue? As the investigation spirals, one thing is clear. The truth is close, but just out of reach. And somewhere in the shadows, the real story waits to be uncovered. As the investigation stalls, a new force emerges from the shadows. Riley Hart, a journalist with a reputation for chasing the truth, works late into the night, her desk cluttered with files, coffee cups, and a wall covered in timelines and red string. She pins new clues to her board, photos, maps, and a single playing card, the Queen of Spades. Her obsession with the Langford mystery consumes her every waking hour. In the glow of her desk lamp, Riley pores over cryptic emails and anonymous letters, each signed with a spade symbol. In a dimly lit study, walls covered in timelines and red string, Riley pores over every detail: dates, locations, and the cryptic Queen of Spades. She interviews Dennis's grieving wife, who reveals he'd been acting strangely in the weeks before his death, receiving late-night phone calls and disappearing for hours. Riley presses an old friend of Dennis's who hesitates, then admits Dennis once spoke of debts owed to people you never want to meet. In a shadowy bar, Riley meets a source who slides her a napkin with a single word, spades. He warns her, some secrets are protected by more than silence. Riley turns to the lead detective, challenging him on overlooked evidence. Why was the surveillance tape from the parking lot only found now? Who had access to room 7 before and after Dennis's disappearance? The detective, visibly rattled, admits there are gaps in the official story. The townsfolk, too, whisper about the Queen of Spades, an omen, they say, of a secret society that punishes betrayal. Riley's investigation uncovers inconsistencies, phone records that don't match alibis, a missing police report, and a mysterious woman in black seen at both crime scenes. Late one night, Riley discovers a hidden file in the police archives, marked only with a spade. Inside, a list of names, all crossed out except one, her own. Just as Riley begins to connect the final dots, she receives an anonymous package. Inside, a single Queen of Spades card, marked with the time 7:00 p.m. in blood-red ink. Her hands tremble as her phone rings. A distorted voice hisses, "You're too close. Stop digging or you'll be next." The screen fades to black, leaving one haunting question hanging in the air. Is Riley about to expose the truth, or become the next vanished whisper in this chilling saga? The days turn into weeks, and the fog settles thick over the town, swallowing the streetlights and blurring the line between memory and myth. But the mystery refuses to fade. One night, a local bartender, eyes wide with fear, tells police he saw a shadow move across the wall, though no one else was there. Glasses rattled on their own, and the jukebox played a song Dennis loved, though no coin was dropped. In the fog-shrouded streets of the town, whispers ignite. Another witness, a city clerk, claims she was warned by a stranger in a dark coat to stop asking questions about Dennis's bank records. The next morning, her office was ransacked. Files missing, but no sign of forced entry. Rumors that Dennis Langford has been spotted alive. Some claim to have seen a familiar figure lurking at the edge of the old railway, vanishing before they could call out. Others speak of late-night phone calls, static-filled, with a voice that sounds just like Dennis, pleading for help before the line goes dead. Riley Hart sits alone in her office, the only light a flickering desk lamp. Suddenly, an envelope slides under her door, no return address, only her name scrawled in red ink. She opens it with trembling hands. Inside, a single playing card, the Queen of Spades, and a note, "To find the truth, follow the shadow at 7. Beware the second face." Investigators, exhausted and frustrated, retrace their steps with growing unease. Each piece of evidence now feels like a taunt, a reminder of what they missed. Dennis's family sits in their quiet home, haunted by hope and dread in equal measure. His wife scans the faces in every crowd, wondering if she'll glimpse her husband or only his ghost. In the dead of night, a security camera captures a shadow gliding across Riley's wall. Then, for a split second, the outline of a face not her own reflected in the window. In her cluttered study, Riley Hart can't sleep. The Queen of Spades card rests on her desk, its blood-red mark a constant reminder of the danger she faces. She listens to the town's rumors, mapping every sighting, every whisper, desperate for a pattern that will bring clarity. Yet, with every answer, more questions emerge. Was Dennis truly living a double life, or is someone manipulating the shadows? Is the Queen of Spades a warning or a cruel game? And most chilling of all, could Dennis still be out there, watching, waiting, just beyond the reach of the light? As the screen fades to black, Riley turns, sensing eyes on her. In the darkness behind, a shadow shifts, then vanishes. Her breath catches. The case is no longer just a story, it's become a haunting. We're left with a single, lingering question. What really happened to Dennis Langford? If you have a theory, a clue, or a story of your own, share it below. Sometimes the truth hides in plain sight, and maybe together we can bring it into the light. But as the credits roll, a new clue surfaces. A letter arrives, postmarked from a distant city, signed only with the initials LM. Inside, a single sentence, "The game is not over." A retired night watchman claims he saw Dennis's silhouette in the old mill hours after the funeral. He swears the figure vanished when he called out. A local teenager reports hearing footsteps and hushed voices near the lake house ruins, but found only fresh cigarette butts and a Queen of Spades card. A delivery driver says he saw a woman in black leaving flowers at Dennis's grave at midnight, her face hidden by a veil. A bartender recalls a stranger ordering Dennis's favorite drink, paying with a crisp bill marked with the initials LM. A neighbor claims her dog barked furiously at an unseen presence outside her window just as the clock struck 7 p.m.